What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, you break all the laws of physics and you seriously think there wouldn't be a price?
Yes.
It's Dezrah.
Hello, and sitting across from you, of course, is Brian Paul.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we pick a game out of the PlayStation VR archives.
Yes.
We dust it off, we blow the dust off of it, we play it again for your consideration, and we find out if it's worth your hard-earned dollars. See if the developers have given it any love since launch.
Except for this month.
No, this is true.
In the month of October, we tend to stick to games that sometimes are a little newer, but mostly are spooky.
I'm so excited. It's
Yes.
October month.
Woohoo!
October month is the best month, Dezrah.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Okay.
That being said, what game did we decide to review this week?
This week we're talking about The Persistence
The Persistence
by Firesprite Games.
came out.
Or Firesprite Limited.
Sure. Came out July 24th, 2018 for
So young back then.
$29.99.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the funny thing is? You're like, we were so young back then. but I did a little bit of research.
Okay.
And we've been talking about this game forever.
Yeah, no, this was a long time ago. It's been on our radar the whole time.
And for about a year before launch, I was like, this is my most anticipated PlayStation VR game.
Yeah.
After Resident Evil 7 came out, I was like, this is my new most anticipated game. And then they announced the price was going to be $30, and I was like, should I be concerned? Like, it's going to be a roguelite? And I was like, should I be concerned? And they were like, here's a demo. And I was like, should I be concerned?
I should definitely be concerned. Yeah.
And it's funny, man, because the first time we really sat down and talked about this game, it was on Why We Love PSVR episode 100. August 24th, 2017, where we changed format for the week, as we never do.
Nope.
And we looked ahead at a few games that we were really excited for.
Right.
Do you remember the other games we were really excited for?
I don't, but I'm afraid you're going to tell me.
We were very, very excited for Spark, which
Yes.
knocked it out of the park.
Well, I think I was probably the more excited one.
You were. I was actually not excited. I was like, really? This looks really boring. And you were like, no, it's good. 1v1, blah, blah, blah. You know. And then you were like, Chernobyl VR. And I was like,
yeah, that was...
it's getting less likely. And then I said Seeking Dawn, still not out on PSVR. And then you said Reborn, The Samurai Awakens.
It's still not out.
It's still not out.
And looking worse and worse every moment.
The fact that it's not out and it got an official PlayStation. You know what? Let's move on. And then on November 8th, 2017, the demo for The Persistence appeared on the PSVR Demo Disc 2, like seemingly without warning.
Yeah.
And man, oh man, if you go back and play that demo, it's radically different.
Yeah.
Like, it is like almost a different game. Like, the visual style is different. The environments look different. The HUD looks different. The interface looks different. You walk up to this fabrication machine that looks different.
Yeah.
I'm like, in 8 months, they stripped this game down and rebuilt it up. Like, they craziness. Absolute craziness. But let's start this episode the way we start every episode, Michelle, with a little game. No, that's not right at all.
Should we or shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, you should.
What kind of game is this?
So it calls itself a roguelike game.
It does.
Yes. Which I may have some issues with.
Well, but I think it's less about Firesprite calling it a roguelike. Because the thing is I think in our gaming society, our gaming culture, our gaming ecosphere.
Milieu.
Is ecosphere a word?
Sure.
I just made it up. We use the word roguelike a lot.
Yes.
And it's not accurate most of the time.
And that's actually what I kind of went down this rat hole on researching this episode, and I know a lot less about Firesprite Games than I should, and a lot more about the Berlin interpretation of roguelike.
But there's two. Oh, and we can get there.
Yeah.
And I'll be more than happy to. You know what? Maybe we'll just do a litter box episode on it.
Maybe.
For some reason, people don't use the term roguelite as often as they should.
Yeah.
Because roguelike means something very specific, and roguelite
very specific
means we took this and like it's much different than that.
Yeah.
And I think by a large margin, The Persistence is a roguelite.
Yeah, I mean, it basically has got the random level recreation, and that's the thing the game does. Like, your character dying and restarting. As far as the story goes, it actually implements that very well. The idea of, like, you're on this colony ship where, you know, all the personalities of the colonists and the crew are actually kind of kept in storage, and they just sort of like generate a clone body whenever they need to, dump into that body, do their stuff. And so the fact that you're dying and constantly, like, you know, going back to the beginning of the level makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
but the whole fact that every level is constantly reshuffled and redone, they say, well, because of the black hole you're near, the crew modules are getting reshuffled. And that's a little hand wavy.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm totally like, this is the kind of game that like they can say whatever they want to. They're like, we're at a black hole and all sorts of craziness is going on. I'm like, you do what you got to do, game, to make the game you want to make.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm going to say this more than once tonight, or this afternoon, depending on where you live. This game is very game-like. This is one of those things where like I absolutely love scary games, but man, this scary game is very much a game. Yeah,
it's definitely game first with scary elements.
Yeah.
And it's so let's put the roguelike discussion. I guess that's going to be the Letterboxd episode, and it's a stealth horror game, really.
It is. It's a first-person stealth roguelite.
Roguelite, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you are sneaking around. Especially when you first start off, your character really can't take that much damage.
No, can't do much of anything.
Yeah, so you've got to kind of sneak up, and if you're lucky, you've got this DNA extractor gun, and that's actually one of my questions. If I ever meet one of the developers, I'm going to ask, before everything went to hell on the ship, what was this thing for?
I don't know, like feng shuiing the living room?
Well, because, I mean, it calls itself a DNA extractor, which I can see. It's like, we want to take a DNA sample from someone. But if it's just instantly lethal to these things that, like, if you try to, beat the monsters, like, with your hands, you've got to hit them quite a few times to actually kill them. So this can instantly kill something that's really, really hard to kill. I'm just wondering, like, was that in the doctor's office?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's it's violent. It is a violent death. It's not like, oh, we sedated you and boom, down you go.
Yeah,
it's like it's a taser gun, and man, thank you for the stem cells.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole stealth thing. Like Des kind of brought it up randomly, but I think it's important to note that you can run around this game once you're leveled up, and just
once you're leveled up,
and just shoot the crap out of everything, and like and purchase guns and do what you want to do and play the game your way, and kind of ignore the whole stealth element. But at the beginning, it's super important to crouch and stay in the cover and use the triangle button, which is your sensory super sense.
Yeah,
it's detective vision or whatever you want to call it, right? and everything goes green, and then like the enemies in the room turn red. By the end of the game, you're just jamming that thing all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But at the beginning, you don't have the energy to use that more than once every 10 seconds or so.
Right, and it just as you progress through the game, you collect the DNA, the stem cells, and then you can use those to kind of buy upgrades for your innate abilities. So things like your super sense or your stealth ability.
And when you're underpowered at the beginning, like you said, you don't go in guns blazing. You stay low, you creep around, use this teleportation ability to sneak behind people, and then you use the DNA gun. And if you can sneak up from behind somebody, you can just hit square, and automatically you make the most of killing somebody. Right. Because if you just bludgeon somebody with an object,
they die, but you don't get any of the stem cells.
Exactly, and then stem cells. I mean, it's all very cyclical.
Yeah.
And then. I don't know, man. I say this all the time. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like the one also plus of the story is the fact that you have this the system to reclone bodies. That explains why you have the enemies. It's not just space zombie virus, Dead Space looking at you. It's actually you know what, our cloning thing kind of shit the bed.
Yeah. And
it's making really bad copies. Which is kind of cool. So there's your explanation for why the ship is flooded with these kind of monstrous people, and why you have the weird vocals, and that's the thing. They're not just like moaning; they're kind of trying to form words, which is kind of really actually creepier than just. The only thing I would like to see. So this machine is making these bad copies that are stronger, right?
Yeah.
If it's making bad copies, why doesn't it make some that it just don't work very well? Like just one of those. Just sitting there screaming in pain and anguish, and you would kill it just to put it out of its misery.
I have no idea.
Right? Because if you want a horror environment, that'd be awesome. You turn around the corner, there's just like half-formed human thing. Yeah.
I left the window open. This is going to be I think this is going to be a very loud podcast. I apologize for any of our audio listeners or anybody who's...
or as opposed to
people who are watching this and not listening to it.
Yeah.
Which
is probably the smart way to go.
If we're just eye candy for you.
Just look at the pretty colors behind us and go.
Don't worry about a thing. But luckily, as fall progresses here, we're not going to need the window open much more at all. So one of the many things that that you carry on life after life after life every single time you die. So you get to these fabrication machines.
Yes.
And they're all around the ship. And there's, I think, 4 different kinds. There's grenade, melee, firearms, and experimental.
Experimental, yeah.
And so in each of these things, obviously, they're like mall kiosks. And they're like, here, what do you want to buy?
Right.
And there's like, 3 to 5, 6, 7 things in each of the kiosks. And if you get the money, you can buy it. Right?
Right. Well, you have to unlock it first. You have to pay to unlock it, then you can pay to buy it.
You unlock it with a Erebus.
Right.
How do you pronounce it?
Erebus.
Erebus. Yeah. Good. Erebus chip. I don't know how I've been saying it for like a year.
Erebus.
Maybe. Very possible. You unlock it, and then you can purchase it. Mm-hmm. But also, and I didn't know this, for like the first 4 hours I was playing, I think, you tap R1 in each of those fabrication.
Upgrade.
Yeah, and then you go to the upgrade screen.
It says it right there.
It does. Who reads anymore? and it like basically shifts the whole thing to like, oh, hey, here are all of your upgrade abilities, and so all these things that you've been buying, suddenly you can upgrade them. And once they're upgraded, you never have to upgrade them again. Every time you get to those fabrication machines, that's also permanent.
Right. So when you die, you do lose all the weapons you're actually carrying. Yep. But when you build it again, you have all the upgrades you've built into it before.
Right. And every time you die, you're using all these stem cells that you've been, violently ripping out of the enemies. And this is my favorite part of the game, is to upgrade your overall stats.
Yes.
And we're talking about, and I didn't write them down, so I'm going to be in trouble here. It's health,
stealth,
health, stealth,
the shield. Right.
Shield and the melee attack.
Yes.
It's not the shield.
It's not the shield.
It's not the shield. It's your dark matter.
Oh, dark matter.
And your dark matter has to do with the triangle, the
super
sensory
sense,
thing. Yep.
And teleporting too.
And maybe the shield. I think all those things are used with dark matter. So we're all right. And so that's awesome, man. Because what I love about this game is that even if you have a bad run, you go in and you kill a couple enemies and then you just get bludgeoned to death by something crazy. You picked up some fabrication chips, you maybe grabbed some stem cells, and you got back to that base and you're like, oh, I can level up my melee attack, or I can level up my health, just a little bit to make the next run slightly easier.
Yeah.
It's like, so you're constantly helping yourself to make the rest of the game easier, and then as next thing you know, you've gotten to the next deck on the ship.
Right.
Which is way harder.
And then it gets way harder. Yeah.
Right. So it's again very cyclical. You're like, I'm leveling up, but just like any, this isn't an RPG, but just like any RPG, you're leveling up, but the characters you're encountering are also getting harder as you go.
There was I actually, in my research, I came across a conversation on Reddit where someone was like, oh man, this game is amazing. The more you play it, the smarter the characters get, and like they actually learn to adapt to your style of play.
Is that a thing?
No, it's not.
I didn't think so.
No, what it was, he was just getting to the next deck where the enemies just get more difficult. When you first start playing, even though we're saying it was really hard, you have to creep up on them, it's actually pretty easy to creep up on them because they just kind of like stand there one place staring at whatever it was they're staring at.
Yeah.
As the levels progress, they do not do that anymore.
And there's also surprisingly few enemy types.
That was kind of surprising. Yeah, there's really only a handful.
I want to say like 6 off the top of my head that I can think of.
Yes.
But the cool thing about it is that there's like 2 or 3 on the first deck, and then like maybe one new one on the next deck, and one new one. And every time you encounter a new one, there's this moment of terror where you're like,
I don't know what to do.
How do I take this guy down?
Yeah.
The Bloodhound specifically, I always equate from the very first moment I saw a Bloodhound. But what they are is they're just like this. They remind me of like a Grim Reaper that's just like slowly walking towards you constantly, slowly walking. They're dragging the lance behind it, and you can hear it. You can hear that lance like from far away. You just hear a dragging lance, and you're like, oh my god, there's a Bloodhound coming for me, and they just hunt you relentlessly. They don't walk fast. They just walk towards you constantly. It's like the movie It Follows, and I kept equating it to It Follows until finally somebody told me, oh yeah, in an interview the developer said, yep,
it's from It Follows.
we totally were inspired by the movie It Follows.
There are no coincidences.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And terrifying.
But we did find out a way to we did find a way to defeat it.
We did.
Yes.
So something I didn't experiment very much with when I did my initial review, because I do a lot of things here by myself.
Yep.
Make jokes here. is the companion app.
Yeah, there's a free download. I think it's for both iOS and Android, and it's the Persistence. Yeah, it's just called the Persistence. So go into your store, search the Persistence, and basically what you get is, well, you get two things. One is like 58 pages of game art, concept art, and things like that. So for you, those of you who really like the visual design of the game, pick that up. The other half of the app is basically you get a mini map of what the other player in the room is playing.
Yeah.
And you get a little icon that shows you where the player is, all the player. And then all these little question marks in the room. And you have to quickly tap those question marks to see what they are. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just, items that are in the room. Sometimes it's actually the monsters, the creatures that are in the room. And as you tap those, you get credits, and you can unlock more abilities. So when you first pick it up, there's not much you can do.
Right.
You can kind of look around and say, oh, there's a health kit over there, and you drop a little marker where the health kit is, and they walk over there. But as you progress, you can kind of increase your scan radius, how long it takes to do the scan. And then actually, one of the first things, probably the fourth thing you unlock is the freeze ability. So I can highlight a creature, tap freeze on my phone, and for, let's say, like 5 seconds, it's just frozen in place. So that Bloodhound, which we had a problem with before,
not a problem anymore.
Tapped, he's
walked
frozen.
Right up to him with my own lance and just smacked him over the head, and he was done.
Yeah.
Not terribly scary when he's frozen.
No, so and the gameplay does say like you can both help and hinder. So there are explosive panels. I didn't actually do this to you.
Yeah, thank you.
But there are explosive panels where you can detonate, or you can actually attract the. There's a attraction ability you can get, so you can attract the monsters away from your friend or towards your friend.
Yeah. Now, and I think this is awesome because, as Des and I were saying before the show, VR doesn't often lend itself to like local multiplayer gaming.
Not many.
And this is the kind of thing where it's like if you have a significant other, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or whatever, who just likes to kind of sit there and watch you play, but maybe he's feeling left out.
Yeah.
This might be something fun for them so they can kind of like play along with you. They can help you. Because I get attacked pretty badly, and I was in a room with like two enemies, and I was like, Des, I need to find a health kit right away.
Right.
And he's like, there are none in this room. He goes, but if you go like 3 rooms back over here, I found one for you. I was like, excellent. We're heading back in that direction. And then he placed a marker in my game, and I just followed it the whole way. It's an awesome way to play a single player game together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely can certainly help things. It's not mandatory. It's what we compared to like the static. When you play static with the mobile app, the gameplay changes so differently that like the levels that you're on when you play the mobile app, you need the person with the mobile app.
Yeah.
Versus this, it's great to have. It certainly makes things easier, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, I think this would have been a much better companion app if it played more like the Bout of Blood recent one. That allowed up to 50 people watching you from different locations. All they had to do was put in a game code. So like if I was streaming the game, you guys could like be part of it.
Yeah.
This is very much I don't know how many people can play along. I'm assuming it's just one.
That's all we tried. But that would be interesting.
Yeah,
we should make some more friends.
But it is all local. There's none of this like you have to be on the same Wi-Fi.
You have to be on the same network.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, some of the cool things we experience in this game. I think my favorite fabrication machine is the experimental one.
Experimental, yeah.
Because
invisibility.
Invisibility is great, right? When things just offend, you want to be invisible. You also want rage. Rage like turns you into just like a crazy monster.
So I would say like out of all the games where that kind of thing happens, like let's say BioShock, where you inject yourself with something, this one freaked me out the most. It's like really intense, and your character is not having a good time while this is happening.
No.
So I think kudos to that.
And no one around you is either.
Well, that's true too, and it feels pretty badass too.
Yeah. But I think the two favorites in this. Do you have one?
Well, I already said one, the invisibility.
But do you have the Ivy?
Ivy's. Oh, was that experimental or was that a weapon type?
I don't know. I guess
I think it was a weapon type.
Sometimes it's in. Sometimes I think that the grenades are actually an experimental, or vice versa. So, but I think Ivy. I want to say Ivy's an experimental.
Well, whatever it is, yes, it's my favorite thing in the game.
It is everybody's favorite thing in the game. What it is?
It's basically a thing you hold and you walk up to one of the bad guys, hit them with it, and they get little hearts floating around them, which is so like wonderfully incongruous in this game. Like, everything is
Right.
so dark and awful, and then it's just this berserker standing there with hearts floating over it.
And he's now your bodyguard.
Yeah,
He defends you to the death.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The problem is you can only do it to one at a time. So if there's say 3 or 4 monsters in there, yes, your buddy will have hearts and be fighting for you, but he will easily get overwhelmed, and then you will too.
Yeah, our good friend Godcanon, like leading up to this game, all he wanted to do was create like a berserker army.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want an army of people with hearts following me around and just and working for me. And we were all a little disappointed when there was only one at a time.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, in all fairness, the game would be way too easy if you just had a whole army with you.
And that was nice, because that's like my favorite way to play this kind of game. Like, I talked about playing Zero Dawn a lot recently, like the corruption arrows. I live and die on those things.
Yeah.
So that kind of like force multiplier, make the bad guys do your work for you. Awesome.
And one more that I love so much is the grav hook.
The gravity gun.
It's like the gravity gun. And man, there's something very special about grabbing an enemy and then using the head tracking to just go and like bounce him up and down against the ceiling and the floor until you pummel him to death, and you throw him against the wall and goodbye.
Yeah, it did very much remind me of like that last level in Half-Life 2, where you get it and you get the modifier, you can pick up the guys and launch them. You can't quite launch them as far, but it's I mean, that was fun. So I in that game, so I don't mind stealing that idea, because it's just a fun idea.
So I don't know. There's obviously.
Oh, what's the runaway, like the what do they call it? Like the instant teleport.
Oh, I don't remember what it's called, but it is a lifesaver.
Yeah, it's basically
literally.
I'm overwhelmed, and you just hit this button and it randomly teleports you somewhere that's away from the situation.
Yeah,
which I kind of wish I had that in real life.
Yeah, pretty much all the time. You would never see me at work again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this is a. We said this is a game first and scary second, with game first with scary elements.
Mm-hmm.
For the first 6 hours, and even I went back in today. I hadn't played it in a while.
Yeah.
And man, playing this thing in headphones, it is almost to its detriment. It's super dark.
Yes.
It's super dark to the point you're hitting that triangle button all the time for the sensory thing.
Yeah.
And you get your flashlight on all the time, which obviously attracts enemies.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the sound effects in this game are just nonstop. We didn't even say the Persistence is the name of the ship that you're on.
Yes.
The Persistence
Which
is
is a great name for a ship.
Noisy ship.
Yeah.
Right. There are like panels that are constantly falling down like right near you.
Yeah.
It's just creaking and things buzzing and gas out at the worst possible second, and you're always on edge, especially before you really grasp the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
For the first 6 hours of this game, I wasn't comfortable like running into a room and taking out a ton of enemies. Like I was like, I don't know my strategy. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to go about this. So all of those noises and stuff where I was like already on edge, I was just like constant like rush of blood jump scares, constant like all over the place, and not rush of blood caliber, but still. And it is terrifying and a perfect way to start our month here for why we love scary games. I
think the sound design is really good. It's really interesting. Like I already mentioned, like the vocal. Yeah. The vocals of the monsters are really creepy in a very satisfying way. I do wish, however, I don't know if maybe it was just me, like spatially they don't track very well. Like you hear the monster and it sounds just as loud if it's here as it is if it's like through a wall in the next room.
Yeah, monsters in the next room do often, or maybe always, sound like they're in the same room with you.
Yeah, so which is very difficult in a stealth type game. You do have the super sense, so they kind of give you that. But if you're trying to say, "Oh crap, is that thing right here?" It's like, "Oh no, it's on the other side of the next room."
Yeah, to the point where I'm like, maybe that needs to be patched.
Yeah. But I mean, the sound. I do like props to the voice actors for. I just can't imagine how many hours it took in the booth of just making those horrendous sounds. So, yeah.
And the only other real big ding that I want to make sure we mention is the HUD.
Yeah.
Oddly placed.
Very weirdly placed.
Sort of like right here, like just kind of like in your left eye all the time.
And not only that, just the way it tracks, kind of where you move. It's very, I don't know. I don't know if we want to get into this part yet. I had some motion sickness issues with this game, and honestly, I think the placement of the HUD might have something to do with it.
Interesting.
Just the way it was constantly there, like, and it messed up where your your head tracking versus where your body is related. You just constantly had this cue reminding you that no, you're not actually looking where you think you are.
And I should have gone through this today because we had this conversation earlier.
Yeah.
Have you gone through the options to see if there are any options to move it or dim it? Or
I didn't do anything for that. They give you 3 options as far as comfort settings at the beginning, and I did it on the most comfortable comfort settings, and still, I was good for half an hour tops at a time of gameplay. So, yeah, not great.
Yeah, it's tough because this game doesn't work without full locomotion. Because there's an element there. It gives you a teleportation ability, but that's good for like sneaking around, and if you're getting attacked to like suddenly like sneak behind the enemy and like maybe get harvest those stem cells.
And it's a limited resource. You can only do it so many times before it runs out.
Right. So yeah, adding an actual teleportation mechanic for people with motion sickness just wasn't going to work.
I was really disappointed too because I've been playing like Firewall with absolutely no problem, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm okay now. Maybe this is good. And I've been there was a couple other like first person games I played recently, no issues at all. Torn, no problems. And all I can think of maybe has something to do with just the placement of that. If it was up top or below. But yeah.
Maybe we could turn it off.
Yeah. Just close my left eye.
Maybe. I think that would ruin the 3D effect.
Probably.
And also, just finally, I know this makes a difference to a lot of people, so we need to mention it. Yep. It is DualShock 4 only.
Yes.
This is. I know that people have gone on and on telling the developers that if it doesn't have move support, they're not going to buy it. And here we are. It's been months. It's been months since July, and so far, no word of move support.
Yeah, this is. I don't think move support would necessarily improve anything in this game because I mean, even when you're picking up objects, you're not picking them up. You have like basically a reticle that kind of lands on whatever you look, and you look at the thing and you pick it up because it's not really about interacting with your environment that way.
It is so. We've said this 3 times now. It is so gamey. It's like a game that like that kicking that it wouldn't be as immersive on a television, but it would be totally just as playable on a TV.
Yeah.
In fact, there have been moments where I was like, I don't feel like putting the headset on, and I just rested the VR headset on my lap, and
you just played the social screen.
Yeah. And actually, that's what I was doing when I was trying out the companion app for myself.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to do both at the same time, and that's where I learned how to do that.
I would say, like, before move support, I could see aim support very easily on this game.
A lot of people have said that too.
Yeah.
I think aim support should be in pretty much everything.
Yep.
Hot Shots Golf or Everybody's Golf VR, bring it on. I think that'd be the perfect aim controller. And then what we do here on the show is we check out games and see if they've been patched or updated or what's happening with the game. Like is there a reason to dive back into it?
What's going on?
And as of this filming, we do not yet have the Glass Cannon DLC, but just days ago. Firesprite announced and showed off at was it the EGX trade show, I believe, the Glass Cannon DLC, which is basically going to be a survival mode that gives you infinite ammo, but only 1 HP. So you get 1 hit, you're dead.
Ooh.
So like, how long can you survive? How many rooms can you make it through?
That's cool.
It does, yeah. It's very cool. But man, if they're going to keep supporting this game, I want more decks. I want more enemies. I want more permanent stat upgrades. Like I want those levels to be even longer. Give me more reason to go back and keep upgrading my character.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the levels aren't very. I mean, believe me, they're plenty big enough.
Oh yeah.
But it seemed kind of when you look on the map, it's like that doesn't seem particularly big. And also, if you're like, I want a really cool, like this is a very cool science fiction setup. And if you're like, man, I want to see the awesome story that's based in this universe. There's not a lot to hang your hat on. It's about. I mean, this is about the experience of the gameplay and just getting better and better and better at navigating this world and improving your character.
Absolutely.
There is a story. It is interesting. There are multiple endings, but most of the endings are based on like a choice you make in the last 5 minutes.
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
So it's not like I played it this way and I get rewarded this. It's like no, there's a pretty big choice you make like very close to the end, and you're different and you're based on that.
Yeah. And when you get to that point, good luck, man,
Yeah.
because the stress level is so high.
Oh,
that,
my God.
I died so many times.
I didn't make it that far personally because I had my motion, but I was watching some other streamers playing it. Like, oh no,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yep. All right. What do you think? Is it time to rate this sucker?
It is, yes.
Excellent.
So our rating system is pretty easy to understand, I think. Number one is you have to buy this game. If you have a PSVR, this has got to be in your library. It's one of the shining examples of why we love PSVR.
Ooh, he said the thing in the
Hey,
thing. He said the name
wow.
of the thing.
How many episodes in and I finally nailed that?
158.
Two is, yeah, sure, why not? If it's in a genre you like, if it's on sale at a decent price, go ahead, pick it up. We're not going to make fun of you or anything. It's decent. Well, yeah, he will.
I make fun of everybody for everything.
Yeah. Three is no. Do not buy this. Friends don't let friends buy crap. We need to vote with our dollars and tell the developers we will not accept this kind of treatment. So 1, 2, or 3. What do you think?
For being my most highly anticipated game since Resident Evil 7.
Oh yeah.
I was actually prepared to be let down.
Yeah.
When I went back right before launch and I played the demo again, I was like, this isn't quite as good as I remember it.
Yeah.
Because more games had come out since then, and then they announced that $30 price tag, and I was like, ooh, even they sound like they don't have total confidence in their game. It's like this doesn't sound like it's going well. And man, I got the game, I want to say like 2 days before review, and I played the Persistence non-stop the first day.
Oh yeah.
For I want to say 8 hours.
No, I remember you coming into work and like, I'm dead because I've been playing this game nonstop. Yeah.
It was, I think, maybe 9 hours. And then the next day I played it for 8 hours straight. So it took me like roughly 16 to 17 hours to beat it. That is longer than it took most people. Most people were like 12, 13 hours.
Yeah.
But man, I died a lot. I died a lot. And I didn't mind dying because every time you go back and upgrade your character, I'm like, sweet, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so like, but I wasn't just playing it because I had a review to do. I was like, I don't want to stop playing this. Every time I took off the headset for a break, I was like, no, I'll just keep going. Like this is something I wanted to do, because the great thing, like PSVR has so many great scary games already. It is like custom made for me. I love scary games, but man, oh man, this game would have been just as good as a game without all the scary elements. It wouldn't have been so custom designed for me.
Yeah.
But I think everyone would enjoy it as a game just as much.
Yeah, I think it's scary in a different way, I guess.
Yeah. So, wait, yawning?
I'm sorry.
God, where's my coffee?
It's been a long day.
It's been a very long day. So I think it goes without saying that I'm giving this game a 1. I think it's one of the best PlayStation VR games yet. I would put this in my top 5 all day, every day.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest ones I've ever given.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's roll with it.
I've been wrestling with this one a lot. Because this is definitely the definition of this is not a game made for me. Like I do like my stealth games to a point. I'm not that much of a fan of horror games, and I love story-based games. And that was the one thing that kind of notches it down a little bit for me, because I really like the idea of this universe. I love the story. I love like what's your name, Zinni? Who are you? Yeah, Zimri. Like just the existential horror that she's living through, just knowing she's just constantly dying just to be reborn, just so she can go out there and die again. Like we play this, because like, that's the game mechanic that's how I'm playing. But if you think about what this character, like her point of view, what a shitty, awful life.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, I'm just gonna get reborn just to go out there and live a little bit longer this time to try to get to that. And just over and over and over
You said dying reborn.
Dying reborn, yeah.
That's a 1.
Yeah, so it just just push a little bit more of the story, and I would have been a slam dunk for me. But I'm still going to give it a 1.
Oh man, my heart was pounding. I was like, what's he going to do, kids?
No, I'm still going to give it a 1. I think, if we say 1 is for like showcasing the best of why we love PSVR, this is it. This is the kind of thing like you want to hold this. There's some developers you want to, I don't know if you ever had like a pet when they like poop on the carpet, you rub their face. It's like, no, don't do this.
I've never done that.
Okay,
No.
yeah.
Is that something you're supposed to do?
I don't know. It's something my dad used to do.
To you?
Yeah, no, not to me. But yeah, just some developers, you want to just grab them and hold like a copy of the Persistence. See, You can do this.
Yeah, it's very true.
It's a good system. You can do good things with it. Stop making crap. So yeah, it's a 1. Fire Sprite, good on you. I'd love to see more. If you can maybe flesh out the story a little bit more, that'd be great too. And actually, we didn't even mention this. The voice acting I liked it.
I think the voice acting is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think the music is phenomenal. I think the sound effects are out of this world.
What I thought was great was the voice actors had accents and they didn't try to pretend that they didn't have accents.
What do you think this is? A Quantic Dream game? Yeah.
It's like, okay, no, we're a multinational crew. We're gonna have accents. Awesome, great, good. Go with that.
It's fantastic. I do wish after playing the original demo that maybe things weren't so dark all the time, but because I do feel like I was straining my eyes, especially during my really long play sessions. But maybe you shouldn't play as long as I do.
Yeah, a little bit more variety in the environments would have been better. I mean, and not just lighting, just kind of everything. Although I guess that does kind of add to the existential dread. It's just the same thing over and over.
I think I even said in my original review I would have killed for some more variety.
Yeah.
But overall, 2 1s, 2 very positive ones. Yep. What an amazing way to start October month. I love Scary Game Month. I want to go see a scary movie right now. I want to go trick or treating. I want to go to a haunted house, and I want to eat pizza and snuggle. Nothing changes.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I just always want to eat pizza and snuggle.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So, as always, in the comments below, let us know what you think of the Persistence. Did you love it as much as I did, or we did? Do you have you not played it yet? Are you going to play it because we just told you how good it is? Or also, what other games you want us to talk about? We've got our roadmap pretty much planned out for the rest of the month with scary games. But once that's over, we're totally lost again.
But we're open-minded. If someone says, "What about this scary game?" and we could, do a forehead slap and like, "Of course."
Absolutely, we can do like I never want to let go of October when it's over.
Yeah,
like the first couple weeks in November, I'm like, are there any haunted houses still open?
Right.
So or any scary movies that kind of trickled out at the theater.
And there's not going to be that many Christmas games coming out, so I think we can milk this for as much as we want.
Are you telling me there's not going to be a PSVR Grinch game? God, I hope there is. God, I hope there is.
I just, ow.
I hope it's the Jim Carrey version.
Yeah, ow.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah, didn't they just do, there's a new CGI one coming out.
I don't know. This is what the litter box is for.
Anyways.
Guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. As always, my name is Brian Paul.
I'm Dez.
And we'll see you next week.